If you're watching this on YouTube and you want more of this content, hit the subscribe button now. Crypto markets bullish as Bitcoin breaks out of bear territory. One OG trader says we may be going parabolic again, while Warren Buffett and his OG friends take another swipe at Bitcoin. Fidelity, the world's biggest financial institution, prepares to launch crypto trading, while Grayscale tells its investors it may be time to drop gold. Binance gets hacked for over 7,000 Bitcoin, while Bitfinex is raising a $1 billion IEO as its users continue to withdraw their funds. Tonight, we speak to Frank Chaparro, who broke the story, and get exclusive interviews from Bitfinex shareholders. All this and more coverage from New York Blockchain Week tonight from our New York City studio right here on Times Square. The new season of Crypto Trader starts right now.
Crypto Trader is proudly brought to you by eToro. Discover a simpler way to trade and invest in cryptocurrencies and more.
Binance gets hacked for over 7,000 Bitcoin. In an announcement made by Binance, they claim that the hackers who ran a very sophisticated hack made off with over $40 million and a whole bunch of passwords and 2FAs. In an AMA, CZ came out and said that though they were considering a block reorg, they've since dropped the idea. At the same time, Fidelity, one of the biggest financial institutions in the world, is set to launch its crypto trading solution, quote, within weeks. The firm that has over 6.7 trillion under management says that it will begin rolling out its offering in a phased approach. The news, which is seen as a major step in getting more money into digital assets, drove the Bitcoin price up over 3% and pushed the market firmly out of bear territory. But what are the experts trading? Tonight, we're going to be speaking to traders from all around the world. And with me in the studio, I've got Frank Chaparro and Anthony Pompliano. Gentlemen, it's been a big week for crypto. I think the biggest story must be the hack that happened to Binance. What do we make of this hack?
Well, it's definitely really jaw-dropping. It's interesting, right? I was on the phone this morning with a CEO in London talking about this and what it means. And obviously it speaks to the fact of, you know, the nascent nature of this market and why large investors are kind of afraid to dive in, dip their toes in it. But there are risks in all markets. In traditional capital markets, you have credit risk, you have all different sorts of, you know, whether it's a subprime loan or something of that nature. So long as, you know, if they position themselves, they have that SAFU, how do you say it? SAFU fund to cover some of those losses. You know, 2%, it seems big, but it's not that large in the grand scheme of things. So hopefully they can get over it. Hopefully it's not more than 2%.
Now, and I understand that the money that was taken out of the hot wallet. Now, that's the wallet that stores less than, of course, the cold wallet. Do you think their risk management systems were effective here?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things to really clarify here, right? So Bitcoin wasn't hacked, the blockchain wasn't hacked, Binance, a private company, was hacked. It was out of a hot wallet. The cold storage was not touched. About 2% of all funds under management looks like were actually taken. That is a less secure way to store funds, and I think that this is a great reminder to people in the community that not your keys, not your Bitcoin, right? You know, we've got to understand in the fiat world, there's 3,000 plus bank robberies that happened in 2018, right? So there's over 8 bank robberies every single day just in the United States. There's going to be bad actors who do bad things in these industries, and all we have to keep in mind is that this stuff happens, but it will pass, and we'll get through this as an industry.
Frank, how well do you think CZ handled the hack? He was completely transparent. He was on Twitter. That's kind of unusual.
I think that's what people like so much about CZ and Binance is that they have stood out, even despite some of the not so good aspects of their business, regulatory arbitrage, jumping from place to place to sort of get around certain regulations. You know, the fact that he jumped on last night and outlined what was going on is definitely pretty commendable.
And I want to talk to you about the other big story, and that's, of course, Fidelity saying that it's going to launch a crypto trading solution. Now, a few things to look out there for. First, they said it's coming within a few weeks. The second thing is that they said crypto, not Bitcoin. What do you make of it?
I think there's a couple of pieces with Fidelity, right? Fidelity has, very similar to Binance, I think Binance has galvanized that community like Frank described, but Fidelity's done the same thing, right? I think that generally they're well accepted within the crypto community, and it's because the leadership from the top down is very pro-Bitcoin, pro-crypto, right? So they've been mining Bitcoin inside of their office. They've been doing this for years, right? Almost 5 years now. I think they started in 2014. When it comes to trading, you have to remember that most of these institutional investors, so not financial organizations, but we're talking about pensions, endowments, foundations, sovereign wealth funds, they don't think about the bottom 99% of these crypto assets. They're thinking about Bitcoin, and maybe you get into like a Bitcoin or an XRP, right? The ones that are top of mind for them are these large market cap assets. And so I think with Bitcoin, that's a natural place for them to start. They may add 2 or 3 others, but I wouldn't expect them to kind of go outside the top 5 assets in terms of trading.
Now, what we're seeing is that the market's holding its own. Despite the bad news, the market keeps coming up, and the market's responding to news again. And that kind of means that we may have shaken off the bear market trend and we're going into the bull market.
Well, I'm very surprised at how much the market reacted to this Fidelity news. And there's a few things to unpack here. First off, we knew this was coming. We knew that they were going to match up their custody business, storing coins for hedge fund type clients in October. We also knew as part of that business, they would end up rolling out a, what we call on Wall Street a prime broker, where they'd be routing orders to different venues based off where they can find best execution. I mean, as big as Fidelity is, $7 trillion under management, the fact of the matter is they only have like 5 clients right now. 5 custody clients. They're all crypto native hedge funds. Galaxy Digital, we reported, is one of their clients. And they're only doing Bitcoin right now, at least at the moment. So that report cited cryptocurrency. If I were to guess, that's just the reporter hedging, right? They caught wind that this was coming in a few weeks. I would be very surprised if they were doing Ether as well, because if they haven't wrapped their mind around custodying Ether, I doubt that they're going to be routing it to different marketplaces.
So certainly very good points. And I say we are breaking out of the bear market, but what I say doesn't really matter. Let's see what the big traders say. Jacob Canfield, you're a doctor that's now a trader. What are the big traders doing in this market?
The traders are buying the dip. And the dips aren't very big. They're very small, shallow pullbacks. A lot of traders were trying to short the market before we broke out, and that's actually giving fuel to the fire for Bitcoin right now. Everybody keeps trying to short the market, and they keep getting liquidated, and it keeps pushing the price higher and higher because they keep getting underwater. So they're forced to close, and also the funding rates on these exchanges is atrocious. So people trying to open a short position, they just have to close them, and they're closing them at higher prices, and it's just continuing to propel the price higher. So most of the high-level traders, they're just buying the pullbacks at this point.
So Jake, can we say that now we're firmly in a Bitcoin bull market?
Yes, and there's a lot of reasons why. I would definitely point people to read Tur de Meester's recent report on Bitcoin accumulation, but also just simple indicators. We'll use the first one. Back in 2015, there was a moving average known as the 200-day moving average on the weekly chart, and then the 50-period moving average, which rejected the price of Bitcoin several times as we fell through that. Once Bitcoin broke up through that, that's when we started that bull trend. And right now, Bitcoin broke through the 50-day moving average on the weekly chart. And that's been the classic bull market for Bitcoin since 2010.
Okay, so what does that mean for altcoins? Usually a run in Bitcoin means that an altcoin run follows. Can we expect to see a run in altcoins?
So the altcoin run that everybody knows and loves, Ethereum, Ripple, all those things, was 3 weeks long. And so it's a very, very short window. And so liquidity moves from majors, Bitcoin, into major market caps, into mid caps, into small caps, and then into coins. So the money moves downwards. So we can see a bull run in an alt season, and the multipliers are going to be great because altcoins have just been bleeding the last 2 months, just nonstop. And so once we do reach a bottom, once we do reach reversals, we're going to see huge gains off of altcoins if and when we see that bottom happen. And I would recommend and advise anybody trading, wait for a reversal confirmation. Don't try and catch these knives all the way down. Just wait for Bitcoin to find some stability. That's what altcoins need right now, because altcoins pumping, or Bitcoin pumps, altcoins die. Bitcoin drops, altcoins die some more. So right now, just wait for the reversals to happen before going into any altcoins.
So what you're saying is hold the Bitcoin, but wait for confirmation before starting to buy into the altcoins.
Just wait for confirmation. And what I mean by confirmation is wait for a higher high and a higher low. Right now, all we're getting are lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. There's only a handful of altcoins that are showing any sort of reversal structure. RLC was one of them. Nano has been trending the market, counter trending the market very well. Zencash, these 3 coins have been counter trending the market really well. And so I would definitely recommend taking a look at anything that's counter trending the market. Ethereum looks like it's ready to break out. There's a couple of fractal analysis that show Ethereum wants to run to $200, $300 plus if it can get some bullish momentum. And when Ethereum runs, it usually leads the altcoin market.
So I guess despite the hack, the market remains bullish. But there are some people out there that are still bearish. After the break, we'll find out who the bears are.
The Video Coin Network ushers in the new cloud by harnessing underutilized computing resources from around the world to revolutionize the video industry on the blockchain. Powered by a decentralized video ecosystem, it transforms cloud video into an optimized, algorithmically driven market. This allows us to deliver revolutionary price efficiencies, much like Airbnb and Uber. Join the Video Coin revolution at videocoin.io.
This week it seems that there is a gang of old-timers out there that is out and about and attacking Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies once again. The attack started off in an interview with Fox News and Warren Buffett when he called Bitcoin a gambling device and compared it to seashells or a button on his jacket. Let's take a listen to what Warren Buffett had to say.
Now that it's stabilized and coming slightly back, how would you characterize Bitcoin?
Well, I don't know whether you own any Bitcoin, but if there's anybody here that owns a Bitcoin that's done anything except stand there and account, I mean, it doesn't reproduce, you know, it doesn't speak to you, it doesn't do anything. It just sits there. It's like a seashell or something.
Once Warren Buffett was done, it was the turn of Nobel Prize winner Joseph Stiglitz, who made a strong case for a world with digital currencies, but then went on to say that there's no need for anyone to go near cryptocurrencies and that they should, quote, be shut down. And I'm going to look at you here, and I'm going to ask you, is the virus not spreading to old people?
Look, nobody should be surprised by this stuff, right? I think that Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger have already said that they're not tech enthusiasts. They don't really understand this stuff. More than 50% of their portfolio is financial services companies, and so they're the ones who stand to lose the most if cryptocurrencies become real. And I think that, you know, if you look at the economists, these are folks who they don't understand they're actually helping crypto. The idea of shutting down Bitcoin, for example, it just proves that it can't be shut down, and it brings attention to the advantages. And so I'd love for every single one of these people to go on television every single day on national audiences and explain all of these stupid ideas, because what it does is it gives the crypto community more things to talk about and more marketing for the ideas that are actually being built in the technology.
Frank.
He's probably just upset that Kraft Heinz is down so much, probably. But I think every market benefits from skeptics. That's perfectly fine. But like Anthony said, you know, if you're going to come to the table and debate, make sure you actually know that, you know, these systems are distributed across 10,000 different computers, and shutting it down is a laughable sort of thought.
Well, you know what? There is one OG who actually may have the virus, and that's Peter Brandt. Peter, I've been watching your tweets, and I guess from following your tweets, we can say that you're bullish.
Well, I think that's a fair description, Ren. I am, as a matter of fact. I started becoming constructive here a little earlier in the year, and it set up just perfectly for me. And it was a very, very clear bottom that we created. So I think the question is, how far does this go, and in exactly how does it go? Do we go straight up from here, or do we come back and test the 3,000 level lows, or at least get back toward 4,200? That's the big question. And for me to kind of explain that, I probably need to cheat a little bit and disclose some of the comments I'm going to make in New York City next week at Consensus 2019.
So Peter, what is it that makes you so bullish? I mean, if I look at the graphs and the stuff that you send us, what is it that makes you so bullish?
Well, you have to look really at the long-term chart that goes back to 2011, 2012. And what you'll see there is a magnificent thing that happened going into the 2013 high, and that was a parabolic move. And it was a parabolic move on a log scale. A parabolic move on a log scale is a magnificent thing. It may only happen once in a decade. And so we saw that parabolic advance be broken, and then we saw the market from 2013 into 2015 correction, and then entered another parabolic move. So we have two parabolic moves in the same market. That's just unheard of. And of Of course, that topped in December of 2017, and we spent 2018 correcting. And I think that there is a chance that we are going now into the third parabolic move of modern times. And the idea that you look at a market and consider it to be a long-term chart when it's only a decade long is pretty magnificent. And then if you see the possibility of 3 parabolic moves in a decade's period, that's unheard of. That perhaps has not been seen since we saw German interest rates in the 1920s. So this is unprecedented. And so the big question in my mind is, are we going into a third parabolic move in Bitcoin, which would be absolutely historic? And for right now, I think the evidence comes down on the side that that is a real possibility. The moving average that I look at, which is a weekly chart moving average, turned up here in about 4 weeks ago. The last time that moving average turned up was in early 2015 when Bitcoin went from $350 to $19,900, depending on what exchange you're trading. That is a quantum move. And so we have the same situation, is we have seen an upturn in the long-term trend. The last upturn took Bitcoins from $350 to almost $20,000. And so what happens now, we also have a very classic ascending triangle chart bottom on the market. And so for me, it's green lights ahead. Now, I think there's a chance that Bitcoin could stumble here a little bit at the level it's at. Coming out the 2018 high, we found a bottom, and we tested that bottom about 5 or 6 times in what classical chartists call a descending triangle. And of course, that broke down in November last year, and we saw a big plunge in the market. And so if you look at the bottom of that descending triangle and project that low out, we are now testing that level. So that could be a testy level for Bitcoin here. And so we could see Bitcoin run into a little bit of trouble. The thing I've been looking at for months is that the correction from the 2018 high, if you take a look at the structure of that correction, it is an analog to what we saw in the correction from 2013 to 2015. And in the 2013 to 15 period, there was a retest of the lows that took place, the low in the January in August of 2015, and then it was straight up from there. So if you carry that analog further, we could see the bottom that we made in December retested somewhere here in late summer, or at least an attempt to retest it. And so I think if we see the market back away from this level where we're at right now, we could see a correction that would take place. We turned a lot of the bulls came back out of the closet. And when all the bulls come back out of the closet, usually the market doesn't reward their FOMO. And so we've seen FOMO getting poured back into this market. We could shake some of these late bulls out that came in a little bit late and then build the base for another parabolic move. So do we have a parabolic move here, or do we have a parabolic move from the end of summer? That's the big question.
Peter, if we get parabolic, like you say, what's the next high for Bitcoin?
Well, I think 50,000. I mean, you hear a lot of people saying it's going to dreams. I mean, hey, it's got to get to 10,000 before it gets to 20,000. So you got to take it a step at a time, and you got to prove that this is truly a bottom, which I think it is. And so I would think if you look at the market, and I'd have to get in some complicated math and on a log basis, but if you take a look at the math that's underwriting the Bitcoin market since the early 2010-11 period, I would think that you have a pretty good shot at the 50,000 level if we develop another parabolic advance.
Peter Brandt, it's a great pleasure having you on Crypto Trader, and we'll see you again next week at Consensus right here in New York City.
And hey, nice spending time with you always, and welcome to the U.S.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. That's Peter Brandt, and I guess it goes to show that not all OGs are bearish. After the break, we're going to be looking at the $850 million that is missing from the crypto market. So stay tuned.
6 clubs, 3 challenges. This is the eToro Crypto Factor.
Go on, take it away.
We'll be testing some of the Premier League's best players to see if their skills on the pitch mean they've got what it takes to become a top investor.
That was for the cameras.
And that's a chocolate coin, and you are a professional footballer, so I'll take that back off you.
But I've got to take that point off you there because you dropped the ball.
What's your problem with him?
Welcome to the club.
Oh, what a save!
It is all to play for.
Troubled crypto exchange Bitfinex has come out in protest against the actions of the New York Attorney General. In a filing made on Sunday, counsel for Bitfinex claimed that an injunction, as per the one requested by the New York Attorney General, would actually detriment Bitfinex, Tether, the crypto market, and the participants which the New York General actually claims to be protecting. The filing goes on to say that even though Bitfinex did borrow $850 million from sister company Tether, and even though the move was material and they probably should have disclosed it, the move doesn't constitute fraud. Now, Frank, you broke the story. What do we know? We know that Bitfinex gave Crypto Capital $850 million.
So Crypto Capital is a very interesting firm, and basically, as any market observer knows, since the beginning, these exchanges have had a very difficult time securing those banking relationships. So this Panama firm, Crypto Capital, has worked with firms like Kraken, obviously Bitfinex, but Bitfinex has had issues securing banking since the beginning. They sued Wells Fargo in 2017 when they cut them off, etc. And so what we know right now is the fact that Crypto Capital, which basically had some of Bitfinex's money, that money was locked up and seized, right? And so what they did to make up for that was borrow from their sister company, and they didn't really disclose that to their investors and clients, and that's why they're in hot water right now.
So I'm going to ask a tough question here. Do we know that the money has been locked up and seized by governments? Because it kind of sounds weird to me that the governments are with 3 Ps, Poland, Panama, and Portugal. You know, they have just locked up $850 million.
Well, that's the speculation right now that's in the market, and it's nobody really knows what's going on, and we've seen cases like this pop up very recently in greater numbers. Here you have Bitfinex saying that the regulators are acting in bad faith. They did what they could to have banking relationships to serve and operate as such, and them arguing that, for one, the New York Attorney General doesn't have even the authority to sort of make some of the, or rather act in the way that they are to shut down the business and investigate, because they're not, it's not a commodity that they're dealing with or regulated by them. So it's a thorny situation that's going to be interesting to watch.
And
what do you think?
$1 billion IEO, that would make it the biggest IEO that this industry has ever seen, and probably the biggest ICO under EOS, let's say. Do you think they're going to raise the money with all these shenanigans?
I've seen crazier things happen in the crypto market. You know, it doesn't surprise me that's the route that they're going. The capital is what fuels these businesses, and so if they don't have access to the capital, they can only do these intercompany loans for so long and kind of exist on the resources they do have, and so the likelihood that they'll go out and raise capital is high. Whether they can raise it or not is the big question.
I don't think they're going to have that much trouble for one reason, and that's because high-frequency traders, especially in Asia, still really love this product. You know, the traders I talk to in Asia, they're still using Tether, and they want to see the system and framework around it, continue to be strong. And I think that you'll have an easy time convincing those guys to invest.
So speaking of Asia, let's cross over to one of the Bitfinex shareholders from Asia. Zhaodong, thank you for joining us here on the line. You got the white paper very early, and you circulated the white paper very early. How did you get the white paper so early?
Because I suggested them to issue the token. I strongly recommend them to issue the token.
So Zha, are you a shareholder in Bitfinex?
Yes.
How long have you been a shareholder in Bitfinex?
Since 2016, October.
Zhao, as a shareholder in Bitfinex, were you aware that they were losing or that they lost $850 million?
We don't think they lost the money. The money is frozen.
Okay, tell us a little bit more about what happened.
We know Bitfinex has withdrawal problem since last year. And we know they must got some money frozen. We just don't know the amount.
So what do you mean you don't know the amount? Surely as a shareholder you should be concerned that there is money missing from one of your investments.
No, we never think there are money missing.
So you believe that the money is with certain governments and that they're going to return it soon?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, tell me about the IEO. What was the thinking behind doing an IEO?
It's easy because the thinking is very easy. They have no other choice. Bitfinex is such a company. They don't raise money if they don't want to. Well, if they don't need to.
Okay, so you say there's no other choice. What happens if Bitfinex doesn't raise the money in IEO?
If they can raise the money, Bitfinex will not have enough money for people's withdrawal because the 850 million frozen.
So Zhao, as it stands, we know there's a white paper and we know that Bitfinex are looking to raise about $1 billion. Do you actually believe that they're going to raise $1 billion?
I believe, yes.
Have they got any commitments for the money?
Yeah, until now, I think it's still soft commitment.
Zhao, if Bitfinex don't raise the $850 million, there'll be $850 million worth of clients that won't get their money. As a shareholder, are you worried about this?
Yes, I am worried. Yeah, why not? I was worried about that. And I know the problem.
Zhao, as a shareholder, do you know anything else that you believe we should know?
Let me tell you my feeling of the New York side.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's like mafia. Yeah, like a mafia. Because the New York NYSE, they know everything. They know everything. If Bitfinex was trying to do evil, they won't tell them what they wanted to do. They told them on February, right? They told the NYSE that on February that they want to the Tether want to give credit line to Bitfinex. They tell them first, and they did it last month.
So are you saying that Bitfinex actually told the New York Attorney General that they had a problem and that they were looking to take money from Tether before this actually happened?
Yeah, yes.
And did the Attorney General agree?
They didn't say. I think they don't tell them you can't do.
Zhao, I guess the $850 million question is, where is the money today?
The money was frozen in several countries, including Poland, Portugal, and United States.
Okay, and why was the money frozen?
That money was frozen because crypto capital did not well on KYC AML. So they had problem.
So are you saying that Bitfinex gave money to crypto capital, and because crypto capital didn't do KYC and AML to their clients, this all happened?
Maybe. And crypto capital didn't do well on those things, and they provided service for several crypto companies, not only Bitfinex.
So does that mean that other crypto companies have lost money here?
No. What's the name of the Canadian exchange?
Quadriga. Yeah, Quadriga X.
Yeah. Because I cannot pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce it. That exchange also is crypto capital, and they also got money frozen, and the money was unfreezed previously. That's why Bitfinex think the same thing. They thought the money will unfreeze. Sure.
Do you really think that this money is going to be unfrozen?
Yes, because the money belongs to client. It doesn't belong to crypto capital nor Bitfinex. It belongs to client.
Zhao, you mentioned earlier that if Bitfinex can't raise the $850 million or the $1 billion, then their clients essentially won't be able to get paid. If this is the case, surely it's in the industry's best interest to make sure that Bitfinex actually does raise this money.
Yeah, we hope so. We know the problem. We know all the problem. And we think Bitfinex has no intent to do evil. If they did, they won't tell the NYSE before they did those things.
Zhao, it's been a great pleasure having you on Crypto Trader, and we'll stay in touch with you to see how the raise is going. I must say, it does sound like this whole situation is very concerning and that clients may get hurt out there. I've got another shareholder from Bitfinex on the line. This time it's Simon Dixon from Bank to the Future. Simon, welcome back to Crypto Trader. Simon, I've got to ask you a question here. Simon, as a shareholder of Bitfinex, did you know that this was all happening while it was happening?
Well, while we didn't know all the details of what was happening, we did know that Bitfinex has been plagued with some banking challenges all the way through. You know, this all began when Wells Fargo started to attack Bitfinex and the counterparty banks that were servicing the exchange. And then they had to move to other banks, and it's been a knock-on effect until eventually they ended up in a position whereby their funds had to go through a payment processor that many of the exchanges in our industry were actually using at one point. And that payment processor turns out to be crypto capital that allegedly has run off with the funds or commingled the funds or pocketed some of the funds.
But Sam, as a shareholder, don't you think that the board was negligent to give a company $850 million?
Well, the $850 million is a huge amount of money, and it is one of the only ways that they had of actually servicing some of the demands for withdrawals and fulfilling those obligations. Now, Bitfinex did actually get a banking partnership that was able to fulfill those. But, you know, it's at the time, it's a function of trying to make sure that they could fulfill services for their clients and meet demands for deposits and withdrawals in an environment whereby the banking relationship is not happy to serve such institutions that are outside of the US and servicing the crypto market.
Sam, surely they must have had some kind of risk mitigation process in place that would have protected them. I mean, something as simple as instead of giving $850 million to one company, make 8 payments of $100 million and make another payment of $50 million.
Sure. You know, these are questions that do need to be answered. But as far as we can tell at the moment, the funds are safeguarded. The reason that this all came to be is because the crypto capital, certain government institutions decided to seize some of those funds. And, you know, it's a question of how much funds do you need in. So many exchanges work off a hot wallet, cold wallet system for their crypto, but it's similar in the banking system where you have a bank account that can service money that doesn't need to be moved, and then a bank account that can service in order to meet the demands. And Bitfinex is one of the most highly liquid exchanges for trading between US dollar and Bitcoin. And therefore, I guess their risk mitigation strategy determined that that's how much they needed in the equivalent of their hot wallet in order to service the demands of all of these transactions in Tether as a result of every single crypto to crypto exchange using Bitfinex's banking relationship in order to facilitate their growth. So we have to remember that Bitfinex through Tether became the banking partner for all of the largest crypto to crypto exchanges. The reason for Binance's astronomical growth was because they didn't have to have a banking relationship, and they relied upon Tether and Bitfinex's banking relationship in order to become the largest exchange in the crypto market.
All right, but Sam, did you know that Bitfinex had taken a loan from Tether?
All I knew that what was publicly disclosed, and that was at a certain date, they had an update to their terms and conditions stating that it's no longer, you know, backed just by dollars, but it also is backed by other assets. But the loan wasn't actually something that they made the disclosure in their terms and conditions, as opposed to making a public announcement about the backing of that, because from what I can tell, again, these are all my opinions. I don't have inside information. I only have what's publicly available to us shareholders on our platform and the public information. Is that the loan was actually made because they thought at all times crypto capital was making them think that the funds were just held up as opposed to disappeared.
Simon, have you seen any evidence that the money is actually with governments and that the money hasn't been squandered or missing?
No, I haven't seen that evidence, and Bitfinex has continually asked for that evidence, and as far as I can see from information available, they haven't been provided with that evidence at the moment. And so really it's a question of the authorities doing their work and trying to figure out where these funds are. Bitfinex seems confident. They've launched their recovery plan, and they've launched a token that will then be repaid if those funds are then recovered by the authorities because they are the rightful property of Tether.
Simon, so the team is now doing an IEO for $1 billion. Knowing what you know now, are you going to be buying in the IEO?
Personally, not financial advice. No one should follow me. But I've seen a team that is committed to solving problems in extremely challenging situations and making good on investors. Last time we invested in the shares as the hack recovered, that was outperformed Bitcoin as an investment and was one of the most profitable investments on Bank to the Future. So I think it's completely high risk, high return, but it's a bet that I'm willing to make with some of the money that I have available for such speculation.
Simon, $1 billion IEO would make this the biggest IEO by a long way. Do you think that given all this dubious behavior and all these shenanigans and the court case, do you think that Bitfinex can raise $1 billion?
Well, EOS already raised $4 billion in the hype of the market, and Telegram did $1.7 million. And Bitfinex, I think, is very feasible that they can raise it. And from what I can see, they're pretty close to being there already.
That's Simon Dixon, and he's confident that Bitfinex can actually trade out of this. Guys, there's a $650 million hole in the market. Isn't that a big hole?
I don't think that this actually matters in the long run, right?
I have $58 of Tether.
Your $58 may or may not be safe. But I think that in a macro view over a long period of time, this is not going to matter at all. If Bitfinex blows up, if Tether blows up, there will be short-term pain for sure. There will be people who lose money, but again, this is a runaway train, right? Cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin are going to be a thing. There will be these hiccups, but I just want to keep everyone focused on the long term here. Is just it won't matter.
So it's a big hiccup, though. I mean, this is one of the biggest firms in the space. Again, the fact is, though, that there are alternatives, right? There are tons of exchanges out there, new institutional exchanges coming online this year.
But again, I think that a lot of this is just natural evolution of an industry that started out very nascent and is now trying to become institutionalized.
Always the bull. Frank Chaparro, Anthony Pompliano, it's been a great pleasure having you on Crypto Trader. Thank you very much.
Welcome to New York.
Thank you very much. After the break, we're going to be looking at the Techstars Blockchain Accelerator program, so stay tuned.
The world's most advanced cold wallet for the new generation of cryptocurrency lovers, Descent. Quickly verify full transaction details on large OLED display. Save valuable time using 4 buttons for fast operations. With Descent's fingerprint authentication, transactions are made secure and convenient. Using Bluetooth communication, manage your assets anywhere and anytime. Based on multi-chip architecture, Descent provides robust security to managing all your valuable assets. The world's most advanced cold wallet. Descent.
Techstars is a worldwide network of mentorship-driven accelerator programs that are designed to help entrepreneurs grow their startups. The company has over 45 programs around the world and has accelerated some well-known companies like SendGrid, ClassPass, and PullPack. Over the last 13 weeks, right here in New York City, Techstars has launched a dedicated blockchain accelerator program. We visited their demo to see what the program had created.
And here we are, demo day. You've all been working extremely hard to get to this point.
Who knew that Techstars actually had a dedicated blockchain program? Where does that come from?
Well, it's new. It's the inaugural class for Techstars, and it's a place where Techstars, together with Alchemist in this blockchain accelerator, could really make a dent in building the ecosystem here.
How did we get here?
Alchemist invests and helps young blockchain companies develop. And so we decided we should run an accelerator. The gold standard in accelerators, as everybody knows, is Techstars and their process.
Talk us through a day in the life. I'm trying to get an insight.
We talk about helping them achieve 1 year's worth of traction in just those 13 weeks.
It's rigorous and it's exciting and it's difficult.
This is your moment, it's your time to shine. And we have a 2% acceptance rate. So to get to the 10 companies that we have today, only 2% get accepted. That's how tough it is to get into this program.
We invested in every single one of these companies.
So we're expecting to have 300 people, aiming for about 80% investors.
These founders have been working on these pitches for weeks now. I'm just really looking forward to them nailing it. All right, 3, 2, 1, demo day! Yeah.
So you saw the companies hard at work in the Techstars Accelerator, but now it all comes down to a 5-minute pitch here in the gritty Lower East Side. 5 minutes in front of venture capitalists. Let's go inside and take a look. How are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. I'm feeling relaxed. I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling prepared.
We've been preparing for 13 weeks. In the past month, just been non-stop pitch practice.
I would say I am expecting to raise capital. I'm pretty pumped about what we've accomplished, and I think that there's going to be some people in the audience that are sharing in that excitement.
Let's welcome the 2019 class of the Alchemist Blockchain Techstars Accelerator.
I'm Daniel from PaperChain, and I'm here to tell you how we're unlocking this revenue.
At Emblema, real-world data platform powered by patience.
Veracity Protocol, the new security standard of fingerprinting physical objects.
Our platform lets you build, deploy, and monitor smart contracts.
I'm Ryan Breen. In the past 30 days, we've raised over $16 million.
In our first 6 months, we raised over $1.5 million on our platform for companies.
I'm Gil from Gilded. Who the hell is going to do the accounting?
AnyLedger is helping these companies reclaim this lost revenue.
Automate is the world's first open, function-as-a-service platform.
Blockade is building a state-of-the-art blockchain platform. Let's take a look at our flagship title, Neon District. During our recent crowd sale, we sold the first ever game boss and grossed $25,000.
In these industries, PaperChain simply becomes the new way revenue gets paid.
We initiated contracts with 3 of the top 10 global pharmas. Thank you.
And now, 3 Fortune 500 companies.
To build a developer tool for Consensus, EOS, Casper Labs, GoChain.
We started with a simulated portfolio balance of $10 million. And over the past year, that balance has skyrocketed to over $570 million.
We are working with Bosch to explore our traditional hardware company.
We've recently partnered with Google, GitLab, and Casper Labs. And this month, we're teaming up with Oracle.
The future of fundraising is digital, and that future is Paper Street. Thank you.
This is really one of the top groups of entrepreneurs I've seen in one time.
Have you had people come to you and are they interested?
Non-stop. It's been non-stop.
You know, you come, you see 10 great companies like this, and you're just reminded why you're so excited to be in crypto.
So I'm very grateful, to people coming us and wanting to invest and help us out.
A round of applause for our tremendous founders and their pitches.
At the end of the day, it's about the companies. You guys were like amazing. I mean, you blew me out of the water.
So if you guys can all come up and take a bow, thank you.
I've never seen this kind of potential, and this is class number 1.
So I think the process of intensive mentoring and focusing really helps. It makes a big difference in a short period of time.
We have investors that have been tracking our progress throughout the 13-week program, and I can tell you they were very impressed.
It was really impressive.
This group of companies was the first that made me say, hey, there's a good chance that within the next 3 to 6 months that we would make an investment into a blockchain company.
I really am confident that 9 out of 10 of these companies are going to be successful.
No doubt you agree with me that those companies look super impressive. With me in the studio, I've got Yossi Hassan, whose idea it was to actually launch a blockchain accelerator program. Yossi, welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Ron.
Yossi, you're a pioneer of sorts. I mean, to get Techstars to do a blockchain accelerator program, what was the thinking?
Well, we were doing the program together with Barclays, another accelerator program, fintech program, and we invested in 2 blockchain companies. And Techstars had already invested in about 20 blockchain companies to date. And we saw right about then, beginning of 2017, the ICO craze and everything that was happening in the blockchain industry, that there was a need for an accelerator program that was different to what we were traditionally doing and warranted a dedicated blockchain accelerator. And there was no better place to do it than in New York City.
Now, Yossi, I visited the accelerator a few times, as you know, and I visited it in the beginning. And then I visited it again at the end. And the companies had grown a lot, more than just 12 weeks worth. What's the magic formula there?
Well, at Techstars, we talk about helping our companies achieve 1 year's worth of traction in those 13 weeks. And really the magic formula there is the mentors that we bring into the program. Especially in the blockchain industry, which is a new and growing industry, getting access to talent and expertise that have already got experience on how to go about taking their idea or concept and bringing that to the market is really, really difficult. And that's the magic of Techstars, being able to pull in those mentors to work with the companies for those 13 weeks. And that's probably what you saw.
Yeah, now, usually with VC investments, they say that, you know, one's going to make it and probably 5 are going to die and you may get your money back on the rest, or something like that. I watched those 10 companies pitching and I think that all 10 were absolutely investable. Is that the feeling that you got?
That's the feeling I got as well. These companies and these founders worked tremendously hard throughout the accelerator program. And we worked really hard on choosing companies that were really going out to build applications that had relevancy for the market today.
What percentage get accepted?
We could take a 2% acceptance rate, up to 2%, so it's as competitive or harder than getting into Harvard. And of that, the statistics are, to date, we've invested in over 1,800 companies in our portfolio. 90% of those companies are still active or have been acquired. So really the model shows that it's tremendously successful in bringing and attracting great founders, and then that mentorship program is really successful.
90% are still in existence. That's amazing. Jos, how many unicorns were there in the 10 that pitched at Demo Day last week?
Well, I'm hoping all 10 will be unicorns. Hard to say. You know, building a startup is hard, especially in this space where it's changing so rapidly and so quickly. But I'm thoroughly impressed with what the companies have done, and they're all getting lots of inbound investor interest now. So I'm hopeful that we'll see 10 out of 10.
Okay, this was the first Techstars dedicated blockchain accelerator program.
That's right.
When I say first, can we expect more?
Yes, definitely. We'll be starting to recruit for our next class soon. In about a month's time, we'll start opening applications for New York City. And we've got plans and conversations to now start expanding this into other cities and other geographies.
Now, I'm sure I've got viewers who are watching this and asking, if I've got a company and I want to get accepted into Techstars, how can they do this?
They can go to www.techstars.com. They'll see all the accelerator programs that are running across the globe. We've got over 45, so there's a different variety of accelerator programs that may make sense for them. If it's a blockchain-specific program or a company, please look at our program, and you'll start seeing applications open for that in the next month.
Yossi, it's been a great pleasure having you on Crypto Trader, and well done for producing 10 of the finest pitches that I've seen in a while.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. Today marks the launch of New York City Blockchain Week. The week is cited as the biggest gathering of crypto investors in the world and is centered around the esteemed Consensus Conference that takes place at the Midtown Hilton. Crypto Trader will be covering the entire week, starting off with the Fluidity Summit, Ethereal Summit, Magical Crypto Conference, Consensus, and we'll be finishing off at the Token Summit. Let's take a look at what the week has in store, coming from the guys at the Magical Crypto Conference.
The actual experience exceeds all expectations and is something that's hard to put into words. All these things that may seem big and impossible are not. It gives people that type of energy, that type of power.
certainly looks like it's a crazy, crazy week ahead if you're here in New York City. And if you do want to join us, Crypto Trader will be at the Token Summit this year, and I'm giving away 2 free tickets to this event. The event, which was founded by William Maguire and Nick Tomano, boasts over 47 speakers, including Olaf Carlson-Wee from Polychain, Fred Wilson from Union Square, and Steve Becker from MakerDAO. Now, I've been at this event for the last 2 years, and it is one of the best events out there. If you want 2 free tickets to join me, follow the links on my Twitter, and maybe you'll be a lucky winner. I'll see you next week from New York Blockchain Week. Until then, I'll be on Twitter at CryptoManRun, and you should trade well, my friends.
Crypto Trader is proudly brought to you by eToro. Discover a simpler way to trade and invest in cryptocurrencies and more.